Hi friends, this is Krish the Urban Naxal. There are a lot of important things in life which schools don't teach you about. They are critical, they are crucial, but schools don't teach you about these things. For example, how to wash your ass properly, or if you're using toilet paper, how to wipe your ass properly. They don't teach you that. Your parents don't teach you that either. Nobody tells you whether you have to wipe from front to back, from back to front. They don't teach you about whether you have to use one layer of toilet paper or two. Nobody teaches you anything. You are expected to learn that by yourself. In the same way, nobody teaches you about money. And nobody teaches you about risk. You learn about risk when you fall, or when you're cheated, or when you're beaten, when you're injured. That's how you learn about risk. You learn about money in the same way. You have to earn it, you have to lose it, you have to be cheated, you have to be endangered, your money has to be endangered, your money has to be locked up by someone else, your money has to be used by someone else for his own personal gain. Then you realize what money is all about, and sometimes you don't even realize then. So I am going to try and explain a little bit about money. Okay, this is stuff you won't find in any school books. This is stuff that I don't think you even learn in college. I studied commerce, I studied economics, I studied accountancy back in college. I did not learn about this. Nobody taught me this. Okay, so let me tell you about money. Money is not one thing, it is many things. There are many uses for it, or it has many aspects. I want to count different aspects, and I'm going to sort of slice them apart just so that you can understand what it's all about. But let me explain to you as an overview. It is about control, it is about territory. Money is about satisfying your needs. Money is also about safety and security. Money is about massaging your ego. Money is about determining your status in society. It's really complicated. It looks simple. People don't talk about it, but it's really complicated. So, here is a very short explanation of what you should be looking at when you're asked to earn money or spend money. Like I said, money is many things. For some people who don't have enough money, money is just something they spend. It comes, it goes, nothing stays. It's like a river. So you earn your daily wages, you eat, maybe you drink, you get drunk, and that's it. It's come, it's gone, it's over. That's one aspect of money. There is another aspect. Saving. Now, saving is a very old-fashioned word, and the government doesn't reward you for saving. Rates of interest on fixed deposits used to be in the region of 9%. I just tore and threw away some old papers not very long ago where they were rewarding you about 9% or more For senior citizens, it was in the region of 9.5% for fixed deposits, the rate of interest. Okay, so you were being rewarded for saving. Today, the rate of interest is around 5%. Not quite half, but almost half. 5% rate of interest means you are not being rewarded for saving money. You are kind of being punished because inflation is more than your rate of interest. Also, you are being rewarded for taking risks, not for saving money, not for keeping the money in your bank, in your fixed deposits, but for spending it, for investing it. And I'm going to say investing with, finger quotes, investing it. What does this mean? Does it mean that investment is a hoax? No. Investment is real. The concept of investment is real. But you need to beware of many fake principles of investment, which again nobody teaches you about. Nobody wants to enter into the depth of it, because if you enter into the depth, you have to explain things that are not nice. So it's like this: your mother tells you to get married, your mother tells you to have children, but she will never tell you to have sex. She is not going to tell you to be a good sexual partner. Right? So in the same way, people tell you to invest. People tell you to grow your money. They tell you you should aim for fast growth. You should aim for growth which is faster than rate of interest that you get from savings. Correct? They don't tell you about risk. They don't tell you about risk to reward ratio. They don't tell you to avoid unnecessary risks. They don't tell you to keep your money securely. They don't tell you that your mind space is limited, and sometimes when you put your money in risky places, you don't have the presence of mind, the constant presence of mind needed to keep your money safe. So they will say, real estate is a fast avenue of growth. Is it true? Well, it is both true and false. I'll explain it. Gold, they may say, is not a good investment. Is that true? I'll explain. So there are all kinds of things that people say. It is partially true and partially false. Which part of it is true? Let me explain. So, as always, I am going to talk about real estate. They say real estate compounded annual rate of growth, if you look on a year-on-year basis, you will earn 10%. Is it true? The answer is yes, it can be true if you buy your real estate asset at a correct price, not the price that is being quoted to you by a builder, but the correct economic market price, which is much lower than what is quoted to you by a builder's office. And then if you are lucky, you hold it, it's a good asset, and of course it's a depreciating asset. You have to keep in mind that buildings depreciate. You have to count the depreciation. In about 30-40 years time, it will have to be redeveloped. It is also an appreciating asset. Yes, you have to sell it at the right price. If it is purchased at the right price and if it is sold at the right price, then it is a good asset. It will give you good rate of returns. How much? Could be 10% per annum, could be a little more. But you have to buy it at the right price. Now, what is the right price? When a builder quotes an under construction flat to you at a certain price, is that the right price? You say, oh, I will buy it at this price and I will sell it at that price and I will make a big bunch of money. No, that is not the right price. He is concealing something. He says it is under construction. You have to take a loan. You have to disburse that loan to him. You are not counting the cost of the loan typically, the interest that you are paying on the loan. You are not counting that when you are thinking about the price of the flat. So if you add the interest on the loan, and if you add that continuous amount of investment in your flat, which means you have to keep paying maintenance on your flat, count the interest on the loan, count the maintenance on the flat, then if you sell the flat at a good price, then you have to calculate whether you made enough money on that transaction, and then you have to decide whether real estate is a good thing. You also have to factor in something else. If you earn a good amount of money, that is called capital gains. Capital gains, well, you had better buy another flat or you are going to end up paying tax. So you need to park those funds. You are not free to use those funds the way you want it. You have to use that capital gain in a specific way. You have to discount for that. Is it a good asset? It may be. It may be. I am not saying it isn't. But you will have to count these aspects of it. There is one more aspect. There is a risk that the builder forces you to take, especially when you buy under construction. There is a huge risk. What is the risk? The risk is of non-completion. We have talked earlier. The project may never get completed. It may stall at 20%, it may stall at 50%, it may stall at 98%. It is 98% ready, but you don't get possession for 2 years or 3 years. Why? That's the way the market works. They don't give you possession. Why? They are not finished. Why? Well, reasons, many reasons. Sometimes projects will get stalled for a year or 2 years. Sometimes projects will get stalled forever, like for the indefinite period of time. Until an indefinite future, you are not going to get that asset. Could be never. There is that risk. Have you factored in the risk into your price? You have to put in a money value on that risk. I cannot quantify the risk for you. I cannot say whether the risk is 10% or 20%, but I will say this. If you are buying a flat at 50 lakhs and it is under construction and you are taking a loan for it, even if you are not taking a loan for it, you will have to count the interest cost. Because if you had put 50 lakhs in the bank, it would be giving you 5% return per annum. FD. Okay? It would give you that much. So you have to count. Instead of that, I took a flat with those 50 lakhs. Okay. So you are now paying an interest. Let us assume you take a bank loan. You are now paying interest on those funds. And then there is a risk element that the building will not get completed. So we have to give it a value. So let us give it a value. Let us assign a value of 10 lakhs. Then the flat you are buying is 60 lakhs. It is at 60 lakhs. It is not 50 lakhs. Then we have to add something else. There is going to be a maintenance. Is it a simple building maintenance? Or is it a more complicated kind of thing? So you have to pay facility common area maintenance, FCAM. Do you have to pay for the township common area maintenance if it is part of a township like Palava or upper Thane. Okay, then you will have to add that amount to it. Okay, you have to monetize it. You have to say, let me put it at 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs or 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs over the long run. Calculate that. So then you figure out, no, my flat is not costing 50 lakhs. My flat which was quoted to me at 50 lakhs is really costing 70 lakhs or 80 lakhs. And then if I am selling it at 70 lakhs, I did not make a profit on a flat which cost only 50 lakhs. I made a loss on a flat which cost 80 lakhs. So I made a loss of 10 lakhs. I didn't make a profit of 20 lakhs. You may say, oh, I'm going to put it on rent and that is going to compensate me for the maintenance. Maybe so. If you get a good tenant, you get a good bunch of tenants, or you get a corporate tenant, you may be lucky and it may be good for you. Okay. On the other hand, tenants can also be a source of risk. A tenant comes, takes your flat, doesn't return it. He locks it up, he goes away, he disappears. Or he uses your flat for criminal activities. You don't know that. You don't know what a tenant is going to do next. And I don't mean bachelors using their flat for screwing their friends. That's perfectly okay if you ask me. A bachelor who brings his girlfriend home to spend a night with her, no problems. That's not risk. The risk is you get a guy, a tenant, who stores drugs in your flat. And then there's going to be a police raid on that flat. And then there's going to be rumors about your flat. Or some guy goes and hangs himself in your flat. And then nobody wants to rent your flat. And then you find it difficult to sell your flat. So, some tenants can be a source of risk. That risk has to be monetized. You have to put a money value on that. You have to add it to the cost of your flat. Is it 5 lakhs? Is it 10 lakhs? Is it 20 lakhs? I don't know. But you need to put a value on that. You add it all up and a 50 lakh flat may really not be costing you only 50 lakh rupees. Even if the agreement value is 50, it really may be costing you 70 or 80 or 90 or 1 CR. I don't know. You need to calculate that. Now, if you calculate that and then you say, okay, and I sold it at this much and I made a profit, then you made a profit. Otherwise, my friend, you made a loss. Why am I telling you all this? Because again, it comes back to money. Are you making money on that transaction or are you losing money? You need to understand by monetizing loss, monetizing risk, monetizing all kind of factors such as loss of control over your money. Real estate is not a liquid asset. You can't sell it when you want. There are liquid assets and there are assets which are kinda really illiquid. They are kind of solid. Real estate is one such asset. It's quite solid. It's not liquid. You tell your broker to sell it and see whether it sells in 3 months or 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. You may find it difficult to sell. Why? They will say market conditions. So, that asset, the real estate, the flat, is holding up money. It is locking up your 1 crore rupees. It is locking it up. It is controlling you. It is controlling your future. It is controlling your money. Your money is locked up inside that real estate asset. So, do you understand? That is an aspect of money. Now, as opposed to this, you are saying, oh, but what does fixed deposit earn? Correct, I agree with you. I'm not saying that you have to keep all your money in fixed deposit and all that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not even saying you should buy shares or mutual funds, or I am not advocating for anything, but I'm telling you the meaning of your decision to purchase. There is another meaning. Suppose you are going to be carrying EMIs for 30 years on a loan, okay, and it is a very substantial part of your salary. Like, let us say it is 50% of your salary and you're paying it as an EMI. That flat which you purchased, which you booked, is now controlling your life. It is now controlling your life in a critical way, so that suppose your boss tells you to do something stupid, you had better shut up and do it, because you're afraid of losing your job. Because if you lose your job, you can't pay your EMI. If you can't pay your EMI, your whole life will fall apart. So now real estate is something which controls your life. So in this way, my friends, there are a whole lot of things which you need to consider when you have an impulse. Okay, let me buy a fantastic flat. Don't just give in to the impulse. Think about what happens to the rest of your life, what happens to your future, your career, your planning. Okay, use your imagination. Don't just think of it as, oh, I'm going to go out there and buy a flat or any other avenue. Please understand money. I'm going to have more of these talks with you guys, because that decision to purchase a flat, or the decision to do anything else for that matter, including getting married, it's a pretty complicated decision, and you need to understand it in a slightly philosophical way. I am your friend, Krish the Urban Naxal, and I hope to be guiding you with these thoughts. Jai Hind, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Maharashtra.